Hi, and welcome to Salesforce's Release Readiness Live for Summer 16. Thanks for joining us, whether this is your first time watching or whether you're a seasoned veteran of our sessions. I'm Mike Torres, and it's great to be back for day 2 as we take deep dives into some of Salesforce's latest developments. Now, as a final point before we hand things over to the experts, we are going to be looking at some items on our product roadmap today. So to properly set our expectations there, let's review Salesforce's forward-looking statement slide. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this slide, it urges Salesforce customers to make purchasing decisions based only on currently available functionality at time of purchase.
All right, thanks, Mike, and thanks, Eric. That is truly an awesomeness hat trick. What I think would make that really, really great is a lot more pick lists in there. So I love pick lists. Yes, we all need more pick lists in our life. They make our apps great. They help us keep our data clean so that an admin has full control over what values users are entering in. They make life a lot easier for users, especially when they're on mobile devices, so they don't have to type in text and they can just select values.
But I want to share them.
You do want to share them. Who do you want to share them with?
I want to reuse them.
You want to reuse them. Wow. Wow. Today is your day. Today is your lucky day. We are, because we all love pick lists so much, we are investing a lot in pick lists. And over the next couple of releases, we are delivering actually more than 50,000 idea exchange points on pick lists. Wow. Awesome. And the top idea there that represents about 85% of those points are global pick lists, so that you can share them. You can this allows you to create your set of values for a pick list, create it in one place, manage it in one place, and use it on pick lists all over your app, on different objects, on multiple ones on the same object. And that, of course, makes your administration tasks a lot easier. And then whenever you need to update these pick lists, keeping them in sync across the different fields is a lot easier that way, too. Another thing we're doing is giving the ability to restrict the values in pick lists, or basically validate values. So by their nature in a UI, a pick list is restricted. You can only enter whatever the admin presents to you in the UI. But in the API, historically, you could put in anything you want. So if you have an integration into a system that has dirty data, if you upload dirty data, or if you actually upload good data but make a mistake in your upload and put stuff in the wrong columns, you could end up with records that have values in that field that you don't want in it. And with a restricted pick list, validated pick list, it'll do data validation at the API, and it'll allow you to make sure that the only stuff in there is stuff that you want to be in there. So with that, I would like to switch over to the demo. And the exciting thing that you will see is now in setup, pick lists are in the left-hand setup tree. Historically, to create a pick list, you would go to the object you wanted to create it on, create a custom field of type pick list, and go from there. You can now create the value sets for pick lists in the setup tree because they are not tied to a specific object. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new one here and call it Release Readiness. Save that, and I will, let's see, I'll put us on that. Mike, not Miki. Shelly and Marcus. Okay, so now I've got a new set of values that looks a lot like a pick list you would have seen historically, but they're currently not used anywhere, so there's nowhere in your app you can actually see this. I am now going to go to one of my custom objects, and I've got a new product object here. I will add a new field on this object. It's going to be of type pick list, of course, so this looks the same as it always has for creating a pick list field on your object. The difference is now that I can actually select one of these sets of values to use on that. So the one I just created was Release Readiness. I'm going to call this field Presenter. And I can pick any of these different sets of values. If I want to create the same type of pick list that we've already had, a local pick list rather than a global pick list, I can click on the button here and enter values like I always did in the past. But I'm actually going to use this global pick list here. Actually, well, let me point out one more thing, the restricted pick lists. So when I'm doing a local pick list, I can, this is a new option here, I can deselect or select strictly enforced picklist values. This is where it'll do the API validation. It is an option. We do encourage customers to leave it on the default of strictly enforced values. That will make your life a lot easier and make sure your data is always clean. It's worth noting in the case of a global pick list, global pick lists are always restricted. You cannot uncheck this, and that's because your pick list could be used in hundreds or even thousands of places in your app. And in order to ensure scalability, we have to make sure that we have a set of clearly defined values in it. Mm-hmm. So I am going to create this pick list with my release readiness set of values, and I'll make it visible to everybody. Save that, and there it is. This is my custom object with all my fields. I've got my presenter on there. My presenter is using the release readiness pick list, and if I go up to my new products object and pick one of these, let's pick the app builder, and you can see the presenter I can pick on there is Shelly, and it looks just like any pick list would, of course. But if I go back to this in setup, back to my new product and my presenter pick list, I can click through to the field definition, and in the field definition now, you will see that it tells you which global pick list definition it's using, and it doesn't have to match the name. You can match the name on the pick list that's using it with the value set to make your life easier, but it doesn't have to. If I click through to this pick list here, you can see now it's actually showing me where this field is used, and I just now created it and put it in one place, so it's only used once in this case.
That's a really nice feature, showing you where it's used. I like that.
Yeah, and this was when we were in pilot. That was one of the top requests, because if you create a pick list and you put it in 10 places and you don't know where those 10 places are, right. That's not super convenient. So we have this here now. This pick list you can see is used in a few different places. I've used it on multiple objects here, and it gives me an easy way to manage this here. So another thing that we've done tied to restricted pick lists is give you more power over managing the values that are in your pick lists. Previously with a pick list, when you would delete a value, what it did in the background is it actually inactivated it, and the reason for that is that if you had records that were using that value, you could still keep that value on the records. Now we give you a much more explicit way to inactivate a value or to truly delete it. So if I want to go up here and let's say deactivate goat from my Zodiac, I've just taken it off of this value set up here. It's now inactive. What it means to be inactive is that it will still remain on any of the records that had it, right. But nobody will be able to select it for new records. So if you have this and you want to keep it there for historical reasons, yeah. You can keep it, but still not let any new records use it. You can deactivate and reactivate it, perhaps seasonally, depending on if you have products at different product lines you have seasonally that you want to periodically activate and deactivate. You can do that. And of course, you can then go in and delete values. So, as always, you can create new values too. So I'm going to create a pick list value called pick list. I'm going to go in here and delete the monkey value from my Zodiac. And when I delete this, I can replace it with null. So basically, that's a true delete, where it just deletes it out of all the fields that use it. Or when I delete it, I can replace it with a different value. And what I'm going to do is replace it with pick list, because while we've been led to believe this is the year of the monkey, it is actually the year of the pick list. We got plenty of pick list work that we're going to be giving to all our customers. So I will go ahead and save that. And now I've got all the records that had a monkey in it are going to be changed to pick list. So with that, I'd like to transition back to the slides and walk through our roadmap and what we have coming up. So in the summer release, restricted pick lists are generally available. They were previously beta. Global picklists are going from pilot to beta, and they were in the spring release. They were in everybody's sandbox and developer edition orgs, but you had to join the pilot program to get them in production. They'll now be in production across the board. The next step for that, of course, is taking these GA. There are a few things that even in the beta you won't have available yet, and that's why it's not generally available. One of them, for example, is that change sets in the beta, change sets won't support the dependent pick list if they use a global pick list. That will be there in the GA, but there are a few other things that we're going to get finished up when we release this to GA. After that, we're going to do some enhancements. Some of them are specific to global pick lists, and some of them are just general pick list enhancements. So one of the things you'll be able to do is convert a global pick list to a local pick list, and you'll be able to take a local pick list and convert it to a global pick list. That's not the same as pick list merge, which some of our customers, of course, are asking to be able to merge a bunch of existing ones. This is a one-to-one conversion. But that'll give you a step in that direction. And then some other enhancements that we're doing for pick lists across the board is we are giving you the ability to automatically add the new values to all the record types. Currently, when customers go in and if they've created a pick list and assigned record types and they create a new value, the new value doesn't show up for any of the users until they add it to record types. And that's okay for a local pick list, but when you have a global pick list that might be used in 100 places and you want everybody to see the new value, that's not so convenient. So we are going to enhance that experience. We're also going to give you the ability to create dynamic defaults. Currently, you can select a default value for pick list statically, and everybody will get that same default value. Going forward, you'll be able to define default values with a formula. So based on whatever criteria you want to define, each person in your org can have a different default that'll come up for that pick list. And then finally, we're going to give admins the ability to make pick lists required so that they can do this automatically just with a click and not have to add a validation rule to that. So we are excited, really excited about this roadmap. This is going to keep us busy for the rest of the year and fulfill the year of the pick list. And we hope we've got a lot of excited admins out there as we're seeing this.
Aaron, this is a huge leap in productivity, the speed at which I think business is changing. This is really going to help people respond more quickly and get more efficient. And I think collectively, actually, all of our features, we're all seeing how the world is moving really quickly. Business is changing fast, and we're trying to keep up and give people tools to keep up and stay in touch with their customers.
Yep, right, yeah, thanks.
So Lightning Global Pick Lists?
Lightning Global Pick Lists. Yes, actually, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So all this is available for the end user. All this works in the Lightning experience. For the admin, when this goes GA, the admin will be able to do this in the Lightning setup as well.
Well, Carol is asking, can she convert an existing pick list to a global pick list?
So in the current beta and in the GA, you cannot do that. One of the enhancements on the roadmap, as I mentioned, is to be able to promote or demote a pick list, which means you can take a local pick list and you can promote it to be a global pick list. And what that means is that the value set on that pick list will become a global value set that's available for other pick lists, and that pick list will use that global value set. Likewise, you can take a global pick list and demote it to a local one. So you can convert them that way. What you'll still have to do manually is merge multiple pick lists. So if you have, say, 5 pick lists that all use the same values, you can promote. You'll be able to, not right now, but in future releases, promote one of them to become a global pick list, and then for the others, you'll have to create a new pick list that use that global value set and migrate from the local pick list to the global pick lists.
So in answer to Carol, it's coming, but it's not available in this release. The ability to take a local.
Right, that's correct.
Okay, great. All right. And can I create, update, and delete global pick list values through the API? We have.
Yes.
That's great. Okay, and I'll do one more question.
Sure.
You answered the question on Lightning, so we had some people asking about Lightning. I have this in my sandbox in production. When can I use this? They have it in their sandbox. It isn't in production, and they want to use it in production. So number one, can they? And number two, how do they move it?
Yes, you can. If next week that you'll see this in production, depending on what instance you're on. If you don't have it in production now, then you're not on the instances that were in the release last weekend. But in summer, all of the production instances will get this as well. So if you've got it only in your sandbox, hold tight till next week, and you'll see this in your production org.
Great. All right. And then, do you know if we can move this on change sets, or is this something that we should?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. That's came up a lot during the pilot. The pilot didn't have this all supported in the metadata API, and it therefore didn't support change sets. So, and that's one of the reasons we didn't give it to everybody in production, because there wasn't a really easy way to move the values from sandbox to production. With the beta, change sets are supported, so you'll be able to migrate from sandbox to production, with the exception I mentioned earlier of dependent pick lists. Those are not yet supported in change sets if they're using a global pick list, and that will be there when this becomes generally available.
Oh, great. Oh, great. But it does support dependent pick lists, but you have to build that.
Correct. It
okay,
supports.
That was a question that was out there. I wasn't going to take it, but since he.
Yeah. Yes. You can create dependent pick lists that use global pick lists. The controlling pick list or the dependent pick list can be a global pick list. So one can be local, one can be global, both global. And that can all be done in the UI. But the thing you won't be able to do is migrate the definition of those dependencies from a sandbox to production.
Okay.
Again, that's not forever. That's currently the restriction in the beta, and when this becomes generally available, that will be rectified.